So this episode is all about me sitting down here in my office/studio while my kids play and reading notes of future or past me, whatever you want to say, reading notes that are written to me from students or written by me about teaching. So this is going to be a really cool episode, and I hope that we can really enjoy this experience together as I delve into education and what that looks like for me today versus what that looked like for me when I began this journey almost 2 decades ago now. All right, so today I'm cleaning up a whole bunch of notes. I keep every note ever written to me by anybody, and I found this one, Dear Baby Patrick. It's from one of my former students when she was in 5th grade. Hello, Nora Lynn. Welcome to the world. Although you haven't seen much of it, you will soon know that it's a beautiful place. My name is, and I was one of your father's students. I want you to know a couple things. First, your father's a very kind and caring man who will teach you everything he can about the world, how to be kind, and how to be the best person you could possibly be, even when times are rough. I know he taught me that. Second, always be loving and kind, even if you aren't getting the response that you want. Just remember that everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Lastly, be you, not someone else, you. I learned this one the hard way. Be you and only you. Don't change, ever. I haven't met you yet, but I can already tell you that you will be a great and beautiful young lady. Love. And I left the student's name out just because we'll keep kind of that there, but I want to just share just how important it is some days. As an educator, we feel lost some days. We feel like we can't reach anybody. And then we find a note like that, and we realize that the impact that we make is way bigger than we might even know today in this moment. So I don't know for you, but for me, keeping notes is a good reminder to reset our brains and to go back and look at all the impacts that we've made. So today, I encourage you to write a note or check a note and be the best version of you. All right. So I'm going through notes today, and I am looking through old notes from the classroom, and I'm reading a note right now that's pretty special. It says, there are certain moments in life that will live forever, never dying from the dust of life that often covers our once rose-colored glasses. Today was one of those days for me, a moment, a lifetime of tears. As I sat down in my chair looking out over my empty classroom, my heart realized it is over. My first year, never to come again. Moments measured not in seconds, hours, dollars, or any other tangible measurement. They have all been captured in my heart, locked in there forever, never to be forgotten. Many teachers say that it will get easier the longer I teach, that I'll never hurt as much again. But all I know is this moment, my memories of their smiles, tears, and laughs, left only to believe that they have taken all they needed from me. Today I have hope for their futures. I truly believe that what they are today is a stronger, kinder, and more open-minded person than they were yesterday. All these thoughts and more flood my heart and mind as the tears flood out of my eyes. Each tear for every one of my 23 students. A tear of hope, a tear of joy, one for friendship, yet another for patience. As the tears come, so does a sense of peace, a subtle feeling of accomplishment. We did it. 1 year down. This is not a moment to remember. Instead, it is one never to forget. Never to forget this passion and love, even on the toughest of days when things seem impossible, broken, or out of reach. Just believe. In this feeling, in love, love for students who may never have known this love for life, a zest for triumph in every aspect of life. Go out and accomplish your goals. You can do it. Time with them flies by as quickly as a bird flying off into the sunset. Your kids need you as they fly into the next stage of their lives. Even if your paths may never cross again, you made a difference. They need you, and you need them. Make your someday be today. No other thing in life will fill this hole in your heart. Once you have opened the door of your heart, never close it. That place in your heart may be the only place a child has ever felt at home. Go catch your dreams. So I wrote that sitting in my room after my first year as an educator, and I'm 15 years in, and sometimes I wonder if I could find that version of me again. If all of the things about education and times where I've been broken and beaten down and felt not enough could be filled with that one phrase that I just said right there, is go catch your dreams. So as educators, as people who work with kids, as people who work in different environments, even in my own basement today, as I sit here and record this and you hear my own kids in the background, we are filled often by what we do, but oftentimes we are also fulfilled by what we do. And if what we do becomes who we are, if we're not careful, we aren't able to experience all of these deep things that I discussed in this letter. I find it so interesting that I was able to sit there in such a moment as that and have the ability to craft that or to pen that. I wonder if the version of me today could still pen the same words that I did then. Because at that moment in my life, I was filled with passion for education. And today I feel as if that passion has dwindled from the stress that I've gone through as an educator. So this video is for any educator that needs a refreshing course on why you began to do what you are doing today. And that is for one impact, one student, one you. Go catch your dreams today. All right, so this letter, I'm going to read just some excerpts from it, not the whole thing, but it says, "To my favorite coach in the whole world, Coach Patrick, I just want to start by saying thank you for always pushing me, the whole crew, the whole team, to be their best selves. Not only in our abilities to run fast on the track, but to be good people as well." I want to stop right there. That's the beginning of the note, and that's pretty powerful right there because that's my whole goal as a coach, and that's pretty powerful here. Let's read this next part. "Every day I come to practice, I know I'll have you in my ear, telling me I can do it, and that you believe in me. Not only that, but that you're always willing and encouraging us to tell us about our day, whether it's good or bad. I can't count the times I've been having a bad day and coming to track and being around you and the other athletes has turned it around. I know I've said it once before, but I want to say it again. Your advice is very good. There have been so many times during the day when something doesn't go my way. I'll remember something you've told me, and I know it's going to be okay. I want to thank you for giving me a chance, even though I never felt good enough to get one. Basically, the moral of the story is that you're a great coach in person. I know you've helped me, but not just me, the whole team. Thank you, Coach Patrick." All right, I'll try to gather myself with the emotions, but I wrote this one to the team, and it was something that I prepared a speech for, and I worked around this. It says, "We often want to be grown up until we actually get there. Trapped in a pattern of comparing ourselves with others, we tend to feel like we're not enough. Today, stop the narrative. You are enough." I wrote that one to help. We were on the verge of becoming a pretty good team, and I wrote that one to just kind of figure out how I could communicate to the kids that you don't have to be anything but yourself. You don't need to be to be the best in order to compete like the best. And then I kind of added in, and maybe this was the first time I ever thought about writing the book Designed to Compete, actually, because right here I said who we are versus who we remember that we were. So there's this concept of the kids I want to talk about, who we are right now versus who do I think I am when I look back at my life. So like, for example, like, do I see the good in me or do I see the bad in me? Do I see the hero story, the villain story? And then I wrote down this to some of the kids, and I made a speech around it, but it's this idea of we are the sum of experiences and memories. So again, we are the sum of experiences and memories. What you choose to remember will define your self perspective and your worldview. So we talked a lot about, like, in these moments, whether it's like at this time, we'd never won a title yet, and we were trying to win the title, and it was a big deal for us. And it was like this idea of how can we write that narrative, and the sum of all of those experiences and the perspective that we have, the memories that we choose to keep. And that was pretty cool. And so I had one thing, I said, we have one choice, and the choice that we have is what we choose to remember. And so I would talk about, like, before we get on the starting line, you have a choice to choose what you're going to think about before you get started. No one can really control your thoughts or your mindset at the starting line. You get to control that. And so that was something I really tried to talk with a lot of kids about. And I wrote down this idea of finding your inner warrior through surrender. And this idea that, like, sometimes we have to surrender our idea of what the outcome is going to be in order to start the right way. And I think that might have been the beginning for me of a lot of writing, and honestly, like, what maybe my mindset became for everything. I wrote down a phrase, and this one was just for me. I didn't really share this with the kids, but patient endurance. That was the phrase that I was using at that time for my life. I didn't speak it to them, but I definitely used that idea of patient endurance. And that was kind of a concept of, like, how do we develop patience and endurance at the same time? And how do we allow those things to kind of coexist and move all together? All right, so this one was written to me from a former athlete who came back to practice. It says, "Thank you for allowing me to be part of practice. During practice, I had flashbacks of my track practices, warm-up, intervals, summary of the previous meet, and motivation for the future. Your speech made me realize how much you encouraged me. You taught me how to exceed my limits and stay fast and relaxed, physically and mentally. The more I ran, the more I felt connection to running. Then I adopted a runner's mentality by never giving up and being tough. After graduating, the runner's mentality followed me to college in a different form. It's crucial that I work out and run several times a week. The physical toughness transformed me into mental toughness and by studying 8+ hours a day, study sessions, work, and extracurricular activities. Lastly, thank you for the tremendous letter of recommendation. Unfortunately, I'm not pursuing pharmacy. I gave it 110%, but some things are not meant to be. I believe if one door closes, another door will open, which means there's still hope and I'll find my path. I'll be coming to practices as long as my schedule allows. I will also continue to keep you updated. Thank you for your support throughout the years. That one's cool because that kid obviously had some serious intelligence to be able to say that they were able to know that what they were currently doing and what they wanted to do didn't have to necessarily align. They didn't have to have it all figured out. They used the lessons that I taught them, and I was really humbled when I read that because that was a kid coming back to practice and coming back to the environment that they used to exist in as a safe haven. And that's the thing that I'm going to miss the most about not coaching, is being a safe haven for people that need me when they came back. I guess I never knew how much I was needed until I stepped away. All right, so this card, I get to share this one's name because this guy right here is my reason for being the exact type of coach that I wanted to be every day. Coach Sean, thank you so much for an awesome senior track season. I appreciate you believing in me, working with me, putting up with me, making me a better person. I have so much fun with you too. I'm going to miss you, but I will carry what I learned and leadership, hard work, and all the time you spent with me for the rest of my life. 2018 seniors are the best, but the best coaches. Thanks again. Love, Austin. This guy right here changed my life. I don't want to get emotional again, but he reminded me that I don't have to be the best or strive to be the best coach to be the most impactful person for a kid. You see, Austin, he never was going to win a race. Austin would finish last in every single race that he ever ran. And he did it with a smile and joy. And I remember how proud he was to finish races. And so this right here is probably what kept me coaching longer than I should have, in a good and bad way, but definitely in a good way, because I never wanted to lose my Austin love for track. I wanted to be like Austin. And so sometimes we think as coaches that our kids want to be like us, but man, I wanted to be like him, and I still do. And I'm so proud of him. And this note means a lot to me. And Austin, if you're listening to this, man, you're a big reason for what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't be here without you. Things that matter: my family, rest, perspective, my health. This week begins my new season of life. I've been on a complete survival mode this year, and honestly, maybe for longer. When I reflect on the pace of my life, I'm not sure how I kept up. My mind's so exhausted, and I want to let go of the things and not carry them forward. But those things that I want to let go of also bring me closer to me and the best version of me too. I obviously have given my best, but have not been perfect over the last year. I know that I have to tell myself that I have more, but I just don't feel like I do. So sometimes when we write and journal, we can look back and read it. And that one was from in the midst of, I was given a lot and everybody probably thought I was doing okay on the outside, but I was tired and worn out. Just like the noises that you hear in the background. I mean, that's kind of like my everyday life. I don't know if you ever feel like that as a coach, as a dad, as an educator. Maybe you just can't get away from the noise. And there's more to that journal, but just that idea of like, I was kind of in a battle with myself, trying to figure out like, you can do it, you can't do it, you can do it, you can't. And I think a lot of us feel that way pretty frequently. So that was an interesting journal excerpt there, and I want to share it. All right, so I feel like I need to do another episode of this. So I'm going to end this one with this simple thing. And this is a picture of, if you're watching the video, you can see it, of me on the orange team. So there's my orange boxes, or orange slices, sorry, and juice boxes. I can't even talk at this point, from my book, Designed to Compete. And in this picture, you have my dad and my grandpa coaching me. And this picture is really special to me. You see, my dad and my grandpa knew nothing about soccer, but they wanted to help out. And so my dad actually became my coach for a lot of these pictures that are in my hand right now. And he would learn everything he could about coaching the sport that I wanted to do. And it was really fun. And my grandpa coached this year, and it was fun for me because I didn't really spend a lot of time with my grandpa growing up unless I was helping him with his plumbing business. But there was something about this photo. There's something about this that means something really special to me. And there's people in this photo too that go way back, man. And I still see to this day, which is cool too. And I wonder sometimes about their story as well. But there's something powerful about holding on to old pictures. And I mean, my dad's basketball coach there. You know, my dad's the coach here. My dad's the coach in this picture. 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 My dad and my grandpa on the orange team in this picture. My dad's the coach in this picture. My dad's in this picture as the coach. And I just want to simply say this. There is something to be said for being present as a dad. My dad clearly demonstrated for me, even though he didn't always have the right words to say, and he still is sometimes not able to always tell me how he's feeling. That shows you exactly the type of dad that I want to be. The type of dad that just shows up, that is just there. And I think as a coach, as I look back at my coaching years, that's the type of coach that I want to be, and not just now or for other people's kids, but for my own. So just a quick shout out to my dad, and just a thank you, kind of a little collab here between Just Call Dad and Just Call Coach, of this idea of like, you can do this thing if you just show up. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have all the answers. I mean, when I first started coaching track, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. I didn't even want to coach. I just was invited one day, and I showed up, and I just had this kid come to me and say, "Hey, I'm faster than you." And I was like, "What? Who are you?" Like, I just got done with college track. Obviously, I was ready to just show him what's up, and I didn't. But I looked at him, I was like, I kind of like that. There was something about that. I was like, okay, right on, man. And so I came back the next day because I was like, okay, I could have some fun coaching this kid. Well, fast forward 15 years later, I was still there coaching. So obviously it was impactful. And the coolest part about that story is I ended up handing that kid his diploma when he graduated. And it was a pretty special moment for me. So, I mean, like, we don't know what call we're going to have or what call is going to be on our life. Like, if you would have asked me, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I didn't know I wanted to be a coach. And that moment with that young man was really impactful for me because he knew who I was, and I didn't even know who he was, but he knew who I was, right? That idea of like leaving a legacy. And so I left a legacy at my school, and then I continue to leave a legacy as the coach. So I'm really proud of that. But I think we're going to need another episode or a few of these where I read some notes from athletes or maybe from my own journal during my time as a coach. And I think it's super impactful as well for dads too. Maybe this is the start of something pretty cool and a neat series. And I just thank you for listening in. It's a little bit more informal today. I didn't really go into so many details and use all of my fancy words, but just chatted with you today. I hope you enjoyed some of these experiences and even some of my emotional moments too. All right. I hope this episode finds you well. And if it doesn't find you well, please stop and pause and just take 5 minutes and just breathe, do breath work, and just appreciate and just feel gratitude. Yesterday I went on a gratitude walk. I was feeling super anxious. I was on the verge of an anxiety attack again. I felt it coming. And I just started walking around somewhere that meant something to me. And it was special and powerful. And I was able to really experience some things. So go on a gratitude walk, sit down and breathe, or just be. Don't be afraid to calm your brain down enough to be. All right, enough for today. But I hope this, again, finds you well. And again, if it doesn't, please stop and pause and praise yourself today.